One of the main things that residents have wanted to know what to do is how to register their vehicles, ATVs, trailers. ATVs are a little early, but as well as some other licenses and so forth. And we've made that available to them online. We're also letting people know how to pay their property taxes and their water and sewer bills. Property taxes are actually due at the beginning of May. We've informed them of how the Recreation Department is handling their activities and everything about the parks. We've let them know about police and fire services, how to obtain burn permits, and also what Highway Department, Sewer Department, and the Water Department is doing, as well as the transfer station and recycling. What we put into place here recently for the transfer station is the Share Shack is staying closed at this point, and we are limiting the amount of vehicles up to the disposal area on the weekends and also during the week as needed. We'll be live streaming these meetings as needed, and I think that pretty much covers it. We've been meeting with all the department heads have been meeting for the last 3 weeks, about weekly. We've got great employees that have just, come through 100%. Our residents have been great. Nobody's calling and complaining at this point. Everybody understands what we need to do. And I think that's it, unless you have any questions.
Tom?
Rhonda, in the transfer station, is there guidance from the Maine Municipal Association to how many people we can let in at a time?
No, but what we did, there were a little bit of hiccups on Saturday morning, first thing, once we opened it up to 4 people so that we could make sure that they were maintaining distance and everything, then the lines moved much more smoother. The problem is some transfer stations are spread way out. Ours is very very small at that spot. So 4 people at a time, 4 vehicles at a time seemed to be working and was able to move the line along much better.
I actually, personally, I was there when they were doing 4, and I just counted in my head how much space we have there, really. I think we could go to 6 without a problem.
Okay, we'll check into it and
just
see.
Just check with Hollis. Because there's 4 places that you can unload if you back your truck up. If you park over by the recycling, there's at least 2 places there, so it's easily 6 places.
Okay. We'll check into it and see if that can help move traffic flow along. Springtime is a very, very busy time anyway. And what they are finding at transfer stations all around the state is that because people are home, they're doing a lot more home projects. So a lot more materials are coming in general.
Any other questions for Rhonda on that? Not seeing any, we'll move on to Recreation Department report. Frank?
Yes, I'm sure you guys have the March report. Actually, came out, a lot of this kind of exploded on us. But just a quick update there, we were able to get our basketball season pretty much wrapped up. We had a championship game a week to the day before they said we couldn't go in the gym anymore. So at least we were able to finish up with a championship game. We're out of the gym, obviously, now. Don't anticipate going back in, even if they get back into school. We typically wrap up April vacation anyway with the activities in the gym. Everybody just kind of ready to get outdoors at that point anyway. So I don't anticipate us being back in the gym till fall anyway. The baseball, softball clinics obviously didn't, the night we were supposed to start the clinics was the first night they told us not to come back into the gym. So we're not doing that. Kind of tied into that, I wrote down a few notes here. Just want to run some things by you folks to make sure we're on the same page. I talked with Rhonda earlier today with the rep committee members through email, and we all seem to be on the same page. So unless there's a major issue, concern on your parts, just a few things to kind of run by you. As far as revenue goes, my guess is unless things change, we're going to come up short I mean, just these clinics alone that we didn't get to run, probably $800, give or take. We'll lose that. I sat in on a Zoom meeting yesterday with about 15, probably 18 rec directors from around the state. The main Parks and Recs facilitated that. As far as spring sports signups, most tend to be going kind of down the same road we chose to go. Right now, we're doing online signups either on our Facebook page or through the town's website, but we're telling people not to send any money in with registration forms. That way, if we don't get a season in, we're not trying to get money back to people. That's going to create quite a hassle. And if we do get the season in, then we told them we'd just simply collect the money the first week of practices. Still relatively hopeful. Most programs don't tend to start. Actually, the softball league that we're in wasn't scheduled to have their first regular season game until May 11, and that seems to be when most of the programs around the state are starting up early May anyway. So we're still in hopes. I mean, obviously that could go away, but at least right now people can sign up online, and that way I can put together rosters so that if we do get the okay to go ahead, we're not losing a couple weeks waiting for signups. Obviously, if we don't get the spring sports in, there'll be another chunk of money that won't come in there. Looking further out, swim lessons, who knows? I mean, that doesn't take place till the end of June, and a lot could change in the positive or the negative. We just don't know right now, but we usually bring in $4,000 to $5,000 for swimming lessons. That money wouldn't come in, but on the flip side, if you're thinking about it, it costs us about $8,000 to run swim lessons, and if that was to not happen, we'd be short on revenue, but we'd also have a fair amount of money left in our payroll. So that's just something to think about. Again, just trying to throw things by you, bounce them off you. The rec committee and I, like I said, we seem to be pretty much on the same page. Looking longer term again down the road, right now the park is staying open. We're thinking right now probably not opening the lodge until we see where things go as far as restrictions. My office, the new office building, obviously has been closed for a while to the public. The bathrooms have been closed, and there's a sign up. We get a little further into the summer here. Right now, there's no groups using the park, but we do have groups as early as sometime in May that have booked, events to use like the reunion barn and such. We'll give them plenty of notice, if it turns out that they can't use the buildings. But at this point, we're just kind of holding tight on that one. The more current things, I guess, to be thinking about are, and again, these rec directors from the state kind of all over the place as far as who was doing what. Some people are shutting down everything pretty much. Others, case by case. It seemed to be the southern towns and also the bigger towns were doing a lot more restricting because of the numbers. For example, down in Lewiston, I know some of you may have saw in the paper, they ended up taking the rims off the backboards at the basketball courts because they were getting 20 and 30 kids at a time out there, and they just couldn't keep them out of there. Here at Kennewautha, because it's been colder, it's been, snow still down on the ground, so we've not had big crowds. Last couple of days been pretty nice in there, a little more activity, but I think back to what police chief said a few weeks ago at a meeting that really supportive of trying to keep things open as much as possible. She nailed it right dead on when she said the concern by a lot of folks would be a lot of family disputes, things going on at home, not good. And the more people can get out and get to the parks and do things, the better. And so I guess we're leaning in that direction as well. I haven't put the tennis nets up yet, only because we had new ones come in, and they actually the post just came in yesterday. But I did have, like, for example, I had a dad and his daughter come in yesterday, and they asked if it was all right to go out and whack a ball back and forth. And it was just the mom and the dad and his daughter. Today there was a mom and two little girls in there doing the same. At the basketball court, nobody much at all. Today there were three young fellows, but they were spread out doing their thing. And I went over and they said, "Do we have to leave?" And I said, "No, not at this point. You guys are staying spread out. I just don't want to see you come back with 6 or 8 of your buddies and try to start playing games." Had a fellow show up today to play disc golf, and again, he was by himself. I had a couple of calls actually about disc golf, and what I told him was if it was just a family thing, at this point we're saying okay. I mean, they're encouraging folks to get out and do things. The issue becomes if it gets too crowded or it's different families. So I guess the rec committee feels pretty strongly as I do that at least as of right now to not restrict those things completely. Just kind of monitor it. I'm in there every day now working. If I see more than a family or one or two individuals, I certainly can go over and speak to them. If it becomes an issue that we have to lock it off as the weather gets better, that may be more of an issue. If it becomes an issue, the tennis courts won't be a big deal because we can lock the gates if need be. The basketball court at Kennywater plus the other ones in town be a little more challenging because there's no fence all the way around them. But to this point, people have pretty well used pretty good judgment, and I'd really hate to see us say complete lockdown on those. I mean, if it becomes an issue where they aren't making good decisions and that sort of thing, then we can look to ramp up restrictions. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Just wondering what you folks are thinking.
Jeez.
Any questions for Frank?
Yes, I have a question. Just more of a comment, Frank. Thank you very much. I support everything that you're doing. Just for clarification, if people, are congregating, that just to, I would also say that we want to make sure that they're family that reside together. That way they were staying in line with what the governor's directive is, that, that way they're not getting family members that aren't residing together for a game of disc golf. But if they're family members that, 2 or 3 people that are already residing together, then...
I'm sorry, you breaking up pretty bad. I didn't catch much of that.
What I was saying, Frank, is that for family members, that it would be for family members that reside together, would be under the governor's, following the governor's orders.
I still didn't quite catch it all. Something about the governor's orders. Like I said, I guess what we're thinking right now, as long as it's individuals or individual families, but wouldn't be mixing families back and forth, that sort of thing. So trying to keep that in line. That's what one of the fellows asked about, like the disc golf. And I said, hey, if you're out there by yourself, or a husband-wife team had called and asked about it. We said, that type of situation we're okay with. Just don't want to see like 10 different people showing up and playing together.
Tom?
I would just keep doing what you're doing, Frank, and you're doing it the right way. We need to keep the park open so people can get out and walk around. So if you find it's a problem, you and Rhonda should make a decision on what you should do. You don't need to wait for us.
Well, I'm just thinking, like I said, the more people are making good decisions, they're really encouraging getting out, doing things, and like I say, unless somebody's really getting ridiculous, and like I said, I have no problem as I'm at the park monitoring. If there's something that doesn't look right, certainly I'll go up and I'll tell them so.
Sounds good to me.
Any other questions for Frank?
Do we need a motion to accept this
Seeing
report?
any, we'll move on to the elective.
We need a motion to accept his report, Keith.
I move to accept Frank's report.
Second.
And it looks like there might be, Keith, can you still hear us?
I can, but it's cutting out every now and then for some reason. So we want to do a roll call then, apparently, as opposed to show of hands. So, Tiffany, your vote?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye. Phil, you don't count.
Phil?
I'm assuming he called Phil. I
did.
Okay.
Can you not hear me at all now?
No, I think the connection to your
Better.
house, Keith, is a little sketchy.
All right, David, you better take over because apparently I'm not making it.
Oh, you sound good now that your video is gone.
Yeah, well, I'm going to fix that.
No, I turned the video off so your audio, we'd be able to hear you, Keith.
Trust me, Keith, it's a lot better without the video. For the rest of us, I mean.
Keep going.
Okay, thank you, folks. Rhonda and I will stay in touch with each other. If we have any issues, we'll get back in touch with you.
Thanks, Frank.
So if I'm supposed to keep going, I don't have a copy of the agenda right in front of me.
I got one. I can tell you the next item is the electric transmission line and the marijuana moratorium.
So, Rhonda?
I just wanted to report out that the moratorium for the electrical transmission line, or whatever we've named it now, that was good for 180 days. We have gone past the 180 days. I did check with the attorney, and in order to extend that by the board with a public hearing, we needed to do that prior to the beginning of this month. And with canceling our meetings and everything, we were not able to do that. What I would like to do for the marijuana moratorium, because that one has not yet expired, we did that one a little bit later. I believe that, at our next meeting, if we could hold a public hearing and a vote by the board, whichever way you would like, then if you want to extend that one, then you would be able to do that as long as we follow the proper channels on that.
I should be all set now, Tiff. David, go ahead.
Do we have to do 180-day extensions, or is there something in between we can do?
I will find that out. I'm not 100% positive. But I do know that the planning board has met on both of these ordinances. They have worked on them where they've held public hearings. They're still working on them and plan to bring that before town meeting this year.
I would just hate to do 180 days if we don't need it for that long.
I'll find out, David, but I don't think it needs to be the full 180 days. We can find out what the amount of time would be before the town meeting.
Tom?
Yeah, I think we just, on the electric transmission line, I think Charlie's done a good job with the planning board. We responded to Pierce Atwood's comments, and I think they've incorporated that. So I just soon just let that ride until the town meeting, because there probably won't be anything happen before that anyway. So I don't think we need to extend that one. I think the marijuana one, David's right. Maybe we just have to hear and extend it to when the town meeting is going to be.
Jeff, can you put my video back on, please? Any
No.
other discussion on the moratorium?
Could I offer a couple of comments?
Go ahead, Charlie.
Okay, so we had a meeting on the 5th of March, okay, and we did our public hearings, okay, and on the ETC, which is what kind of we've renamed that section of the ordinance, right? Energy Transportation Conduit. And that's where we had gotten feedback from CMP and their Pierce Atwood attorney, and we also use Bernstein Shure. And so I think from that I've got a cut that I rewrote that incorporates both those comments that would fit it. And so that would go along with kind of what Tom's saying, that at this point I think that's all kind of packaged together to go to town meeting and get voted on. And then on the marijuana ordinance, we did have, and it was actually some of our businesses that are involved in that, they had some comments, and I think I'm redrafting that. When I can get the planning board together, I think we can have a little simpler ordinance, and really rely on, for the adult recreational, having a state conditional license, for the medical marijuana having a caregiver license. And we already have medical marijuana businesses operating. So I think that'll be pretty close. And I'm assuming that our town meeting goes again, though, in June. If it gets pushed out, then I think this could go along with that. I haven't seen any adult recreational license applications at the state level in Wilton, and I've only heard of one. So it seems like the people that are doing the medical caregiver retail, that's probably what they're going to stay at least for the time being. So in my mind, I think these could go along, assuming that we can have some meetings again in May. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Not seeing any, we'll move on to request for and disclosure of food sovereignty ordinance. Rhonda?
We received by email a request as far as doing a food sovereignty ordinance. And I know I'm calling that not the new updated term. The new updated term would be local food and community self-governance ordinance. And at this point, I think, Tom, do you have any? Yeah, I'll let Tom take over on this.
This is something that we dealt with in the legislature when I was there, and something some of the communities around us have dealt with. And it basically gives our rights to our farmers to continue to do what they're doing and protects them against perhaps government going a little too far on certain things. I'd like to do a little more homework on it. I just wanted to get it out there for discussion. We did get an email that somebody requested that we put this into place. And if you've been paying attention, I know you all have, to the way the farms have really been stepping up to help out with food supply. I don't want to have something get put into place that has an effect on it. These ordinances have nothing to do with slaughterhouses. They cannot be included in them. They were taken out a couple of years ago. And I believe in the interim, when I was on the board and not off the board, Scott Taylor was pursuing this, but when he found out the slaughterhouses weren't going to be considered, he dropped it. So I just want to get it out there for you guys to look at. I have some more homework to do on it, but I think it's something we want to consider, at least to put on for the town meeting whenever we have it, for discussion and a vote.
Okay, any questions for Tom? Tiffany?
It's not a question, just more of a statement that I also support the local food and community self-governance ordinance. So, Tom, if you want somebody else to partner with in looking at it, I'm very much amenable to doing so.
There was a lot of controversy, if I may.
Go ahead. Yeah.
There was a lot of controversy when they were first put into place, but over time, the Department of Agriculture recognized this is something that people want to do, and that's why the bill or the ordinance, draft ordinance you see is written the way it is. I have more homework on it. I'll work with Tiffany to bring it to you guys maybe at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the Foster Mill property update.
Yes, being in contact with Jamie from Ransom Incorporated, she had a few items of update. She's followed up with DEP to find out what the status is of the VRAP application. We don't know that status yet, so we're still working on that. She has requested from EnviroVantage a cost for the removal of the piers that were in the stream that we talked about the last time we met. She's still waiting to hear on that. They did provide a preliminary cost for just ripping out the piers with an excavator crane, but they want something pulled together for cutting and removing the piers in accordance with Maine Department of Environmental Protection requirements. And we are ready now at this point to have our declaration of environmental covenant recorded by the town's attorney, and those will be still eligible through the Department of Economic and Community Development grant, so I will take care of doing that. And that's where we are at the moment.
Okay, any questions for Rhonda? Not seeing any, we'll move on to the Wilson Lake Wall update. Rhonda?
Jeff Reed from CV and Mahar did meet with about 4 department heads right before everybody stopped meeting and everything. And they probably met for a good hour, hour and a half, just getting from the department supervisors ideas of how the lake at the foot of the lake affects all of the different departments, including some of the maintenance issues that they all have to deal with. So that meeting went very well. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do it with the board at that particular time. I have sent him all of the records from when the other part of the wall was done back in 2000. So he is going through those right now. And as soon as he can meet again with the board, or I will check with him to see if he can do a Zoom meeting with the board, to see if he can get some of your ideas on what you would like to see down at the lake. Would you like me to try to set up a remote meeting?
What do people think?
Why not?
Okay,
Sure.
sounds good. You all set with that, Rhonda?
We are. We won't do anything with the general public until we can meet with the public a little bit later. So we'll get a lot of the background work done and then hold the meetings and surveys with the public.
Okay, so we will move on to appointment of ballot clerks. You want to do them all? Budget committee resignations, vacancies?
So I'll do the ballot clerks first. We would like to appoint the following people for ballot clerks. Justina Nazar, Jean Rand, Carolyn Smith, Hazel Flagg, Lynetta Lewis, and Angela Werner, Christine Cox, and Don Hamlin.
Need a motion?
Yes,
We need a
please.
motion. Yes, please.
Moved.
I make a motion, we accept them all.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, and you can go Dave, Tom, Dave, either way.
Either one.
And on my roll call, I'm simply going the order of people on my screen. So, Tiffany,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Phil, if you can hear me now.
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you.
We'll leave the appointment sheets downstairs for you to be able to sign when you can.
Well, you're going to force us to come in.
We can also scan it and send it out to you.
So, budget committee?
Budget committee, we have had 2 people resign from the budget committee recently. Irv Fonts and Mr. Gould.
Norm Gould.
Norm Gould, yes. Yeah. Irv was at a point that he was a little busy at this time to be able to be on the budget committee. And Norm decided after many, many years, it's time for him to resign from the committee and retire from it.
Do you have any applicants at this time?
No, so we are looking for 2 people to be on that committee.
You have that on our webpage so that we can get the word out there?
No, we will put it out there. I'll put it on Facebook too, asking for people.
Okay. Any questions, comments about that? Moving on to the manager's report.
The first thing on the manager's report is scheduling of an updated schedule of the budget committee. I had really kept putting things off and hoping that it was something that we were going to be able to do to meet in person. But in order to keep to our schedule for having our final votes, getting all of our items to the town report, and then having the town meeting in June, we may have to go virtual or remote meeting such as this. So if possible, I will send it all out to you. I think I have sent one out recently, but if possible, we'd like to do it Monday, April 20th and April 22nd. And then the final meeting that the board would vote on this would be April 28th, with the final vote on the warrant would be May 5th. Either that, or I can push it out and hope you can meet in May and tighten things up even more. So those are basically the 2 choices.
Yeah, I think probably we should get started.
I would agree.
Okay. So I will arrange that with Tiffany and Phil as far as getting set up for a meeting, and then I will contact the budget committee members to see how many are able to meet remotely like this too.
Okay, thank you.
And I was going to say, can we do a group meeting with the select board and the budget committee?
Yes,
I just think we ought to have a conversation around revenues in light of what's going on as we look at the budget as a whole.
those first two meetings were with the finance committee. So the intentions is to still hold them with the finance committee. The first meeting will be meeting with the nonprofit and service agencies. And then the meeting on Wednesday, the 22nd, would be meeting with town departments. So we'll invite them all separately.
Tom?
Rhonda, have we got any response from the nonprofits to our list of questions that we asked them?
Yes, I think we got responses from everybody but one. So we will get that. I'll be getting the budget out to you. It should be by the end of the week.
And with those responses too, that would be great. Thank you.
Correct.
Any other questions on that? Okay, keep going, Rhonda.
We're still looking at getting the town report out at the same rate. We're working on that right now, waiting to get reports in from the different town departments and the chairman of this board. And then for the next item, we're looking to hopefully still hold the town meeting at the same date in June.
And that can be done virtually too?
Town meeting?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Hopefully not. And that date, I think, Diane, we had already said would be June 16th. June 15th.
Keith?
Yes, go ahead, Tom.
If I understand that legislation they passed, if for some reason we can have a town meeting in June, we are able to operate under last year's budget, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Same as the schools.
Yes. The next item I have for you is the commissioners are going to be doing a remote via a conference call for their caucus for the budget committee vacancies. Unfortunately, that's the same April 20th at 5:30 p.m. We may have to move our virtual meeting to a little bit later that night. I will send out the letter I got from the Franklin County Commissioners. And in this district, they are looking for one person to fill a 3-year term on the county advisory budget advisory committee. Then the next item I have is...
I got a question. Is that position presently occupied by somebody, or is that position opening?
That position is open. Well, it's open now because it's my last year. So it's
that district, Tiffany occupies the 1-year term, and Judy Diaz from the town of Jay occupies the 2-year term. The 3-year terms for all 3 commission districts are the ones that are open and available right now. The next item I have is that Wilson Lake Golf Club has been purchased by a new owner. All of the taxes from Wilson Lake have been paid, including all of the property taxes. So everything is completely up to date on that. They do have a liquor license, and what I would like to do is to advertise that liquor license for the next meeting and advertise it as a public hearing should we need to be, because of the fact it is new owners. It's not a renewal like our other ones have been. So I think we should be following the way we should be doing that. And I'll have that ready and available for the next meeting. That sound okay?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. They're ready to be going with the golf course as soon as they're able to open up the road from us. And then the last item I have is Diane has been, well, all of our taxes, the 2017 taxes, we have completed the foreclosure process on them. And on the ones that are remaining, Diane has been working on sending out letters to them. What we have done in the past is we've allowed the owners, if they're paying up all 3 years and bringing themselves current, to basically rebuy that during the 1 month period. So we're waiting on a few of them. I am anticipating that when we meet again, or maybe the beginning of May, we may have approximately 5 properties to sell. And there's a good possibility that this may possibly be a year you will want to look at an auction as one item to consider, such as we did about 10 years ago. And with a property we have, that could make up to 6. But we'll be preparing those items for you once, you know, the 30-day redemption period is up. Okay. And then that was all I had on manager's report.
Okay, well, that's 2 more items than I had on manager's report.
Yes, 3.
So moving on to other business. Does anyone have any other business to bring before us tonight? Not seeing any. I would like someone to make a motion for us to go into executive session.
I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A personnel and 1 at a time, right?
Yeah, personnel.
Okay.
Could I get a second on that,
Personnel.
please?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So, Tiffany, how do you vote?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Tom?
Yes.
Phil?
Aye.
It is unanimous. Thank you.